Imagine a Hollywood legend, a man whose face lit up the silver screen with charm and grit, hiding a darkness that would shock the world. This is the story of a celebrated actor, a three-time Oscar winner, whose talent captivated audiences, but whose personal beliefs cast a shadow over his legacy. His name is synonymous with Western heroes and lovable grandpas, but behind the scenes, whispers of hatred, paranoia, and cruelty painted a very different picture. Stick with me as we unravel the life of a man who went from idolized star to a figure branded as Hollywood's most troubling villain, born in 1894 to Irish immigrants in a small Massachusetts town. This actor grew up in a working-class family. His father, an engineer with a knack for tinkering, dreamed his son would follow in his footsteps. His mother kept the home warm and welcoming. As a boy, he was expected to pursue a practical path, so he enrolled in a technical school, prepping for a future at a prestigious institute. But his heart wasn't in equations or machines, it was in the spotlight. At 15, he found himself sneaking away from textbooks to perform in school plays and local vaudeville shows. "I'd rather be on stage than stuck in a classroom," he once confessed, though he didn't dare tell his father. Acting was his escape, his passion, but it wasn't until a twist of fate that his life took a dramatic turn. World War I changed everything. Enlisted in the U.S. Army, he served in France with an artillery regiment. A brutal encounter with mustard gas left him scarred, altering his vocal cords and giving him the distinctive, high-pitched voice that would later become his trademark. Discharged and back in the States, he tried his hand odd jobs reporting for a Boston newspaper, swinging an axe as a lumberjack, even delivering messages for a bank. For a while, he chased wealth and real estate, but the 1925 market crash wiped him out. Dreams of becoming a pineapple farmer in Guatemala flickered briefly, but a friend saw something in him. "You've got a voice and a presence," the friend said. "Head to Hollywood. Be an extra." With $7.50 a day on the table, he packed his bags, his new bride by his side, and set off for California. The road to stardom wasn't paved with gold. Hollywood in the 1920s was a jungle of talent, with countless hopefuls vying for a break. He and his wife arrived in a beat-up old car, battling rainstorms and a flapping roof that threatened to fly off. She held an umbrella through the torn roof, laughing off the chaos. "We'll make it," she told him, and her faith kept him going. He joined the long lines outside casting offices, rubbing shoulders with other struggling actors, including a young Gary Cooper. Rejection after rejection tested his resolve, but he refused to quit. One day, after being turned away yet again, he overheard a film crew struggling to get a donkey to bray. Stepping forward, he offered to make the sound himself if they'd give him a role. The director, amused, agreed. His ridiculous bray landed him his first screen appearance. A small but unforgettable moment that opened the door to Hollywood. From there, he clawed his way up, picking bit parts in silent films and early talkies. He played everything from young lovers to grizzled old men, his versatility catching the eye of directors. An accident on set, or some say a kick from a mule, knocked out his front teeth, forcing him to use dentures. Without them, he looked decades older, a trick he used to land roles as elderly characters. With or without, he'd ask directors, popping out his teeth to their bewilderment. This gimmick became his edge. By 1935, a small role as a taxi driver caught the attention of a major producer, leading to a long-term contract and bigger parts. His portrayal of a rugged Swedish lumberman in 1936 earned him his first Oscar for Best Supporting Actor. 2 years later, he won again for playing a warm-hearted horse farmer. In 1940, he clinched a third as a tough-as-nails judge in a Western, sharing the screen with his old friend Gary Cooper. 3 Oscars in 5 years, a feat almost unheard of. But was it all talent, or was something else at play? Here's where the story takes a darker turn. Rumors swirled that his rapid rise wasn't just due to skill. In the 1930s, Hollywood's voting system allowed extras to cast ballots for the Oscars, and he had a knack for winning their favor. Some whispered his last two wins were boosted by this system, sparking such controversy that the rules were changed, stripping extras of their voting rights. After that, he never won again, though he earned one more nomination. Was it rigged? Maybe not outright, but the whispers of favoritism lingered. And as his star rose, so did stories of a man far different from the kindly characters he played. If this story is hitting you hard, please share it to spread the truth about the complexities of those we admire. By the 1950s, he was a household name, starring in a hit TV sitcom about a poor rural family chasing a new life in California. The show ran for years, cementing his image as America's lovable grandpa. He worked tirelessly, guest starring on variety shows, voicing cartoons, even cutting records. At 67, he scored a top 5 hit with a folksy song about a farmer and his mule, becoming the oldest person to crack the Billboard charts. But while his career soared, his personal life was unraveling. Behind the warm smile fans adored, he harbored beliefs that would horrify them. He was a vocal supporter of far-right causes, aligning with groups that opposed civil rights and spread fear of communism. He saw the civil rights movement as a plot by foreign enemies, dismissing protests as the work of troublemakers. In interviews, he suggested violent solutions to unrest, even praising the use of force against demonstrators. His words shocked those who knew him as a gentle screen presence. The mask slipped further in the 1960s, when Martin Luther King Jr. was assassinated. Colleagues reported he celebrated, calling it a victory. He joined a controversial society known for its anti-civil rights stance, using his famous persona to push divisive ideas. At one event, he spoke in his beloved TV character's voice, railing against activists and accusing them of plotting to destroy the nation. He even turned on colleagues, branding close collaborators as traitors for their political views. The man who played a loving grandfather was, in private, consumed by paranoia. He built a bunker under his Los Angeles home, stockpiling guns and supplies, convinced a Soviet invasion was imminent. He forbade his grandchildren from listening to popular music, fearing it would corrupt them. To escape what he saw as society's decay, he bought a sprawling ranch in Oregon, complete with a theater and motel, where his family could live free from modern evils. What drove this man to such extremes? Was it fear, upbringing, or something deeper? He called himself a devout Christian, yet his actions rejoicing at assassinations, preaching hate stood in stark contrast. He backed politicians who opposed equality, endorsed fringe candidates, and saw anyone with differing views as a threat. Even his co-workers weren't spared. He'd grill them about their voting history, lecturing them on America's doom if they leaned too liberal. By the time he retired to his ranch in the early 1970s, his legacy was a paradox, a titan of film with over 230 roles, a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, and an induction into a Western Heritage Hall, yet a man whose hatred tainted his achievements. In 1974. At 80, he passed away from a lung condition, leaving behind a wife, 3 children, and a complicated legacy. His bones rest in a Los Angeles cemetery, but his story lingers as a cautionary tale. He was a giant of his era, a master of his craft, yet his flaws, bigotry, fear, and cruelty cast a long shadow. Some might say he was a product of his time, but others, born in the same era, chose a different path. His life reminds us that talent and virtue don't always go hand in hand. If his story moves you, please share it, like, and subscribe to keep these untold stories alive. Let's honor the truth, even when it's uncomfortable, and remember that heroes on screen aren't always heroes in life.